to read with my brain. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just basic. Hello friends, how are you? Welcome back to the channel. I have kind of been away, but you wouldn't really notice because I kept uploading, but filming, not so much. So, welcome. This is going to be my summer TBR, so what I plan to read over the summer season until fall, essentially, and kind of a look back at spring and the TBR that I posted earlier to see kind of if I did read those books or not. We're gonna start with that. So for my last video, my spring TBR, I finished 4 of the 12 books that I mentioned in that video. I made progress in 1, so I was currently reading 1 and I'm still making progress through it. And I didn't touch 7 of them. My bad. So I finished 33% of the books that I had planned to, which is not terrible. I did put that video up probably only like a few weeks before the end of spring, so that's actually pretty good considering I had a baby that month. So I'd say we successfully did it. So my plan though for this summer, I'm aiming to hit like 50% of the books I put on this TBR at least. That's what I want to read. So we'll see if I can actually do it, but I think I can. I've been reading a ton of ebooks, tons of ebooks, because when you have a baby, you have no hands. So reading on a device that you can hold with one hand is very important because reading with 2 hands on a book is just, it's not happening when you're trying to hold a little human that squirms everywhere. They're like little gremlin worms. They just throw themselves. Ebooks have been my life, and that's kind of how this TBR is gonna look. The books I finished are currently on the screen, which was These Violent Delights, Winter's Orbit, To Be Taught If Fortunate, and Artificial Condition. So those are the 4 books that I finished, and I made progress in Royal Assassin, so that is also on there. I did not finish Royal Assassin, obviously. Ascendance of a Bookworm Volume 1, Prairie of the Orange Tree, Goddess in the Machine, Persephone Station, Nevermore, Frog Kisser, and Incendiary. So I will not be mentioning the books that I didn't finish for this video, but just know that I didn't finish those last month, and if I get the itch, I will, not last month, but last season, if I get the itch, I will read them. So there you have it. I will not be talking about those books in depth. If you'd like to know more about them, I will link the video to my spring TBR, and all of these books will be linked down below for their synopses on Goodreads. So if you're interested, there's that. Now, I have a few goals, reading goals slash a challenge for myself for the summer. I would like to stop scrolling Instagram while I am feeding the baby and up in the middle of the night with her, because I realized I was spending kind of a ridiculous amount of time scrolling through and feeling like I wanted to post, but what am I gonna post about if I'm not reading books? And I caught myself the other day not opening Instagram, and instead every time I wanted to, I just instead opened my ebook, and I finished that book in 1 day. So now that I spend a lot of time just sitting on my phone as my child eats, I think I should be using that time to use my brain instead of mindlessly scrolling, and that means reading for me. So no more Instagram, specifically while I am expressing milk in our bedroom at night and while I am feeding the baby actively. So that doesn't include when I'm feeding her during the day in the nursery or when I am expressing in the nursery, which is this room right here, because my laptop is here. I find it very hard to focus on a book, and I can't just cut all of what I'm gonna do out. I normally only scroll through Instagram while feeding or pumping if I don't have something else to do. So it's usually around the house, but when I'm in here, laptop, I'm doing something productive, essentially, if I'm in here doing those things. So anyway, those are the two situations where I want to read instead of scrolling Instagram, and I'm going to try to hold myself to this, but we'll see. My other goal is to post more reviews. So I have been reading a lot of books, but I haven't really been posting reviews about them or writing down my thoughts on them. So I'm trying to pull quotes from my ebooks more to post on my Bookstagram account. So follow me there if you want more up-to-date information that's not delayed because of editing. So check that out. I want to just update my Goodreads more often, so you can follow me there too. And maybe even write some reviews for my poor website that I've neglected for about 3 months now. I have some that are pre-written, I just haven't edited them, so maybe I need to go through that slowly. And then I would like to keep my reading journal up to date. I've been kind of bad about it since the baby was born, but I could do it now, so I'm going to, hopefully. So those are my goals slash challenges for myself. Just wanted to update you on kind of how this reading list is going to be comprised because of those goals that I have in mind. I do not plan to read any physical books either during the summer. It's possible. I could do it. But I'm not going to plan to do it because there's no guaranteeing that I'll get even one. There's no guaranteeing I'll even get one. So we're just going to accept that there might not be any. Now, let's get on to the books that I plan to read. I will be flashing on the screen the content warnings that I can find on Storygraph and other mediums that I use to find content warnings. If you happen to know the content warnings for these books, please comment them down below, as always, because we care about others, and even if it doesn't bother you, it may bother someone else, so let's be considerate. Anyway, so the first book that I plan to read this summer is Skyhunter by Mary Lou. I am currently reading this right now. I am reading this for the TBR Book Club on Instagram. If you're looking for a book club where you get to put input, like nominate books and then vote to see who also has it on their TBR, we vote every month, pick a book that is the majority on everyone's TBR, and we read it together and talk about it week by week. It's very, very fun, and we've been having a really good time doing it, and it's very chill. So even if you've read the book before, you could go back and put the comments on each post for the weeks, or you could not read it with us, and when you read it in the future, go back and comment about the book once you've actually gotten to it. So no pressure to actually read it on time, which is just lovely. The only person who has to do that is the host, and that's me. So, Skyhunter by Mary Lou. I don't know anything about this book because I didn't nominate it. I read the synopsis just like a few days ago, and it's a sci-fi. Mary Lou wrote the Legends series, I believe, and I've never read that either. It seems to be about a future Earth when humans are now gone, but there are new humans that don't carry on the culture and technology of the previous civilization, if that makes sense. I think it mentions that thousands of years ago is when the other humans were here and something wiped them out, but they don't know what. So there's that. Also about some monsters of some sort that they have to assassinate, and that's basically all I know about Skyhunter. So I apologize. The synopsis is on the screen if you want to pause, but yes, that is the book I'm currently reading, real active. And then the other book I'm still reading, which is embarrassing, is Royal Assassin. I'm going to finish it though. I have only like 50 pages left. I think before I had like 100. I read some. I made progress. I promise. I just am taking my time with it because I own the book in 2 different copies, soon to be 3 different copies. So I'll get to it, right? No rush. I'm just enjoying it, taking my time. So those are the 2 books that I'm like currently reading. There are other books I mentioned in my last video that are on my pile of shame, but you can go watch that if you want to know my pile of shame in its entirety, because it's embarrassing. The first book on the actual TBR, I haven't started these, but I really am looking forward to reading them. A Dark and Hollow Star. I am planning to read this on Libby, which is my library's app, if you don't know what that is. And yeah, that one is about basically urban fantasy with fae in Canada, I believe, and it's compared to the Mortal Instruments, and I breathed the Mortal Instruments as a teenager, so I'm very excited about this. And then there is Chain of Iron, the second book in the Last Hours series by Cassandra Clare. Shadowhunter series. I'm not going to explain this one just because it's the second book in like the 4th or 5th, I can't remember at this point, series in the Shadowhunter Chronicles. So part of the Cassandra Clare world, second book in the Last Hours series. Chain of Gold was the prior one. This series is going to be a trilogy. I am not a huge fan of what happened in the first book, specifically at the end. If you know, you know. So I don't know how I feel going into this book. I haven't purchased it. Once again, it's going to be through Libby, so I'm checking it out from the library. I will buy it eventually. I have every Cassandra Clare book. That's just how that goes. But for now, I'm just going to read it on Libby since I don't want to spend the money on a new book that I am not super thrilled about. I want to know what happens. I love the characters in the series. I just hate the decisions that are happening right now. And I think it's just that I've outgrown the dramatic teenager stories, and the love stories just don't click with me anymore. So not a big deal, but I'll read it eventually, hopefully this summer. And then those are the only 2 for Libby. And then there's another app from my library called Cloud Library. I would like to read Remote Control. This is a novella sci-fi. It's about, I don't actually know too much about this. I just know it's a sci-fi novella and I'm really into that right now. So sci-fi novella, something about her being associated with death and her processing being rejected by society. I believe that's what's happening. I think she also may be like an assassin of some sort, and that's why she's associated with death. I don't actually know anything about this book. I've just heard enough people say it was amazing, and to go into it blind because it's a novella, it's really short. So I'm not gonna know anything about this one. I'll put the synopsis on the screen with the content warnings, but yeah, I'm excited. I believe the person I saw who read this was Plant-Based Bride, and I adore Plant-Based Bride with all of my being, and I definitely trust her opinions. So that got added to my TBR as soon as she read it. Moving on. The next book I have are 2 physical books, but I don't think I'm gonna get to read them, but I may purchase them as an ebook. We'll see. I've had a hard time finding them in the United States. I don't know if maybe these books are European only or something, but I cannot find them anywhere. But it is The Maiden Ship and Lion of the Sea. I got the beautiful Fae Crate editions and I cannot wait to read them. I love pirate books and ocean related books in the summer, so that should be really fun if I can get to them, but they're kind of like a on the TBR because I don't own them. Well, I own them physically, but I don't own them ebook or audiobook, and the library doesn't seem to have them, so we'll see what I'll do about that. The next book I have is Have We Met? This is a Amazon First Reads on Kindle that I got because I have Amazon Prime. Just have Amazon Prime, so you just get these free books if you didn't know that. If you have Amazon Prime, look at it. There's a lot of free things all of a sudden. I guess free, but you pay for the subscription, so whatever. So Have We Met? I believe this is a contemporary romance, and that's all I really know about it. I just picked 2 of the First Reads books, and that one just happened to be one. It looks really cute. Have We Met was something about this woman who is presented with her exes like a handful of her exes that she's dated, and is told by this like app that magically appeared on her phone that one of them is actually her soulmate, so she needs to reconnect with all of them to figure out which one, which sounds really cool. I don't know, I'm not a contemporary reader. I hardly ever pick up a contemporary, but man, that sounds really exciting. So gonna try for that one. And then the other Amazon first reads that I picked for the month is Song of the Forever Rains. It was the only fantasy, and I just picked it because it was the fantasy. So if you want to know more about it, synopsis. But yeah, the only fantasy that they had on the first reads, so of course I picked it. I did this last month too, which was the Bacchanal, or no, just Bacchanal. This was also on Amazon first reads, but from last month, and I didn't get to it yet, but I'll start it pretty soon. I'm recording this a little early in June. The first day of summer is the 20th of June, if you didn't know that, the solstice. So I'm out of breath. So I'm filming this early. I may get to this before summer even starts, but just haven't read it yet. So those are my Amazon first reads. And then the other cloud library one I just saw actually, is All the Tides of Fate, another pirate ocean-y story. I read All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace last year. I thought it was really good. It had some problematic aspects to it, I'll admit that, and I acknowledge that no book is perfect, but I thought it was really good. It was enjoyable. It was a fun story. I thought for YA I had a really good time, and it was pretty dark for a YA, and that's why I liked it. So I hope to read the second book. I delayed it. I don't know why I didn't start picking up the second book when it first came out, but anyway, I have the audiobook and the ebook on Cloud Library, so I can also read that, and I'm excited about it because I want to see where the story goes. The first book ended on pretty big of a cliffhanger, so sad face. Only 3 more, I promise. We're almost there. Storm Glass, which is a Kindle book that I got from Prime Reading. You'll see it. You're seeing a theme here. Lots of Amazon Prime related stuff. Stormglass, I have no idea what it's about as well. It was just a fantasy, and it was recommended to me based on my previous reads, and it was free, so I downloaded it. I read the synopsis, but I don't remember it, so it must have not been that memorable, but I'll get to it. I think it sounds interesting, but I don't remember what was interesting about it. So I like going into things blind, as you can tell, and I apologize. That's why I put the synopsis on the screen for you, and I give good reviews once I actually review the books, because otherwise I'd be pretty boring to watch. I think I am boring to watch anyway, but anyway. So the other thing that is on Prime Reading that I plan to read, and I actually am going to start this pretty soon, and I'm going to do a dedicated vlog to it as well, I believe. I think that's what I'm going to do, is the Forward series. It is a Prime exclusive. It is a collection of novellas written by sci-fi authors, which is super cool. I saw Books with Emily Fox read these novellas, and I was like, alright, I gotta do this. If Books with Emily Fox says that, you know, the novellas are worth reading, then I'm gonna do it. She didn't like certain ones of them. I don't remember which ones they were. I tried to forget because, again, I like having my own opinions and going in pretty blind. But because she didn't like some of them, I was like, maybe not. But then I saw that they were free to me with Prime Reading, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'll just read all of them and kind of do like a taste test video, so that'll be fun. I've never read any of the authors except for Andy Weir, that is part of this little novella series of sci-fi novels, so that's gonna be fun. I haven't read anything by Andy Weir since The Martian either, so that'll be very exciting. I'm not gonna put the synopsis for all of them up because there's 6 of them, I believe, but here are the covers, and I will have to look up the content warnings later on for each individual one, so look out for the vlog for that if you want the content warnings and the synopses for each one. And the last book is for the TBR book club, which is called A Fate of Wrath and Flame. This is our July pick. I'm super excited for this. This is by a typical romance author, just contemporary romance. The author is K.A. Tucker. She wrote The Simple Wild, which I read last year with a friend, and it was really, really good. So now that she's coming out with a fantasy romance, a dark fantasy romance, I'm into it. I bought it immediately, even before the book club even voted. So I'm super excited that we get to read this. It's going to be just so much fun. I love when authors dabble into new genres. It's always super exciting to see how it goes, and it's usually pretty successful in my experience, and I usually just find it really exciting. So I'm thrilled about this. I believe this one is a enemies to lovers situation where they kind of don't like each other and it's a marriage of convenience sort of thing. Sounds great. Something about she gets in trouble and he offers her, he is the king or something, he offers her to not be locked up if she helps him figure out who's trying to take the throne or something like that. I don't know. It sounds really cool. I didn't need to know anything about it to know I wanted to read the new K.A. Tucker book. I forgot to mention that I will also be continuing my read of the Murderbot series. The Murderbot Diaries, sorry. I read the second book in my last TBR. I did actually finish that second book, but I didn't finish the whole series. So now I need to read the third book on, and I will be continuing that read throughout the summer. Anyways, those are all of the books that I plan to read this summer. I will not get to all of them, that is just a fact, but that's what I want to read, and I hope that I can get to all of them because we all want to get to the books that we're excited about, obviously, but we will see. I am thoroughly enjoying having so much time to read, so let's hope that continues and I don't suddenly have, you know, no ability to read with my brain. But yeah, that is all for today's video. Please let me know what you're reading down below. I'm very interested in what people read in certain seasons. So do you seasonal read? Do you have specific genres? I definitely lean into sci-fi more in the summer than I do other times of year. I definitely lean more into romance in the summer as well. And then obviously pirate books and ocean related books, obviously, because we're all basic, right? Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just basic, but I like me a good water / pirate read in the summer. So that's all I have. I'm not a fan of summer. I hate it, so I need all of these books to be 5 stars, please. At least 3 stars, because it's gonna be the only thing that gets me through desert California weather. Help me. Winter baby, stuck in the desert. Anyways, I hope your next read is everything you needed and more, and it surprises you in the best of ways. I will see you in the next one. Hopefully that's very soon, and I hope that you're doing well, and I hope that you subscribe and like this video if you found a book that you hadn't heard of, or if you saw a book that you have heard of and you're excited about. So I'll see you in the next one.
I live 17 floors up, and when it rains I can feel those drops in my window pane. Lets me know that I'm still here.